Hey, everybody, we're back here for another episode of the internet podcast show, Movies, Music, and Movie Music. And this dives deep into film, cinema, and music. And we get a great special guest here each week. And I'm here with one and only Bay Area staple named Nate Havoc. And he is been in some bands before. He's part of the troupe of Rocky Horror Picture Show, and we're going to dive deep into a lot of his favorite inspirations for film and music. So, man, take it away. So what's your story? You've uh, born and raised in the Bay Area, or not?
No, I was born and raised in Southern California. I grew up in a city called Carson, which most people don't know. But if you're familiar with Compton, straight out of Compton,
Uh,
Carson.
I'd like to forget about it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the only way I
Carson.
could
Wow.
really identify to people where I'm from. I grew up in Carson, like right by Compton.
So we know, and many of you know the history of like SoCal punk rock. I mean, we should just dive deep right into there. So you can't see his patches on his jacket, but I mean, there's a ton of great Black Flag being one of them, right,
Yep.
from LA, and we got the Circle Jerks and
Mm-hmm.
just so many. I mean, what were the bands that you just really it soaked up and made you uh, the musician you turned out to be, and then also the fan of punk rock music, So
Well, originally it was listening to Rodney Bingenheimer on KROQ radio
oh,
station
that's
out
some
there.
great history. We
Hell
love
yeah.
Rodney,
I mean,
the mayor of Sunset. There's a movie
yes.
about him. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So I would listen to that station all the time. That was my absolute favorite.
yeah,
And I would hear the top 40 stuff at the time, and it didn't really ever speak to me.
yeah,
But then I would listen to Rodney, and I would hear Ramones or Adolescents or Blondie or some of those earlier bands, and those were the bands that I was like, "Hey, what is this?"
yeah.
And I wanted to explore that more. And then I started getting into, learned about the Sex Pistols, and then one day I heard about this band called Minor Threat, which is to this day my favorite band of all time. And then just getting into some of the LA scene bands, like you said, Black Flag, and of
Yeah.
course the Adolescents, and the Germs, and Wasted Youth, and they're just so many good Circle One, so many good bands from back there that I would listen to all the time. Unfortunately, around my teenage years, we moved to Modesto, if you're
Yeah,
familiar.
yeah,
Not my favorite place.
yeah. That's definitely not a scene for much music or any of that. But getting back to LA, I mean, there was the short-lived band, the Germs, which seemed to influence a ton of bands after. Ian MacKaye from Minor Threat,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Um, what do you think of his spoken word stuff, and also the band that he did after that, right?
I dig his spoken word stuff for sure.
Yeah,
Um, Actually, one of my few musical regrets was that I did not get into Fugazi earlier.
yeah,
When Fugazi first came out, I respected what they were doing, but I was such a Minor Threat fanatic
yeah,
that I didn't really get into it, and I missed opportunities to see them in small venues for $5.
wow,
I just, and I, looking back on it, I really wish I'd have gotten into it much sooner and gone to some of those shows, because I definitely feel like I missed out now. But I've, listened to some of his later stuff, like he's in a band called KROQ. There's some others that I can't recall. But yeah, I mean, still to this day, that Minor Threat stuff that's what gets me going.
yeah, yeah. Cool. Well, did you ever get into the straight edge thing, or was that just like you appreciated the message, but you didn't go that far into the lifestyle of straight edge?
I was actually really big into the straight edge scene when I was younger, and I think it started when I was a little kid. I had a cousin who died of an overdose,
Okay.
and I was
Wow.
probably 7, and that affected me.
Yeah.
And then when I lived in Modesto, I met some people who were just really strung out all the time, and just in bad shape.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I was like, "Ooh, that's not for me." And then I would be listening to Minor Threat, and just the basic message of be in control of your own mind and body,
Yeah.
that resonated with me, and I got very into the straight edge scene. And it was not the kind of thing where I'm going to tell you, you need to be straight edge
Yeah,
too.
and
It
be
was just,
judgy and
no,
stuff. Yeah,
zero judgment.
yeah,
People loved it because I was always the designated driver.
yeah.
I drove everyone everywhere all the time because they were drunk or high or, whatever. And I didn't care. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going to get you there safely.
Yeah.
And I was probably the craziest one. People who didn't know me, they'd see me at parties and, I'd be leaving. They would always try to stop me and say, you can't drive home. You're clearly drunk. I'm like, dude, I'm straight edge. Just a little on the wild side.
A lot about your personality as a person, too, that, no judgment and that, in the end, people have to make their life choices. And
Exactly.
whether it's like for the best for them or the people around them or the worst. And believe me, I grew up in a family full of alcoholics, and most people I know in my scene are into, crystal meth. So
Yeah.
I let people do what they do, and, and let the chips fall where they may, or the cards fall where they may. So, were you, when did you first start a band or joining a band? I mean, when did this happen in your timeline?
So the first band that I ever got involved with, and just to be clear, none of the bands I was ever in ever really did anything. We were mostly just fucking around, really. The first band I ever got involved with, it was just a couple of friends.
Yeah.
And, we would go to a lot of shows and listen to a lot of records. And one day we decided, well, why don't we just start our own thing?
Yeah.
We never really got out of the garage. I think we played a couple of songs for a few friends, and that was pretty much it. But it was a really fun experience, just getting together, that camaraderie, that bonding that you have,
Yeah.
and writing the songs together. And even if you're just playing them for a handful of people, hopefully they enjoy it. It was a really cool experience.
Was that in Modesto or?
That was in
earlier?
Modesto.
Okay, cool.
One of the few good things.
Yeah.
One of the few good experiences.
Yeah, I mean, no matter where you end up, there's going to be maybe a handful of people at least that are going to be, people that are into what you're into, even
Absolutely.
in freaking Idaho or Oklahoma, I'm
Yeah.
sure. So what was the name of that group? You never took stages; you just kind of kept it in the garage, and that was it. And that's cool too, because not everything has to take the stage or make a record and go that far. I know plenty of people that just love doing it for fun on the weekends and just for backyard parties, which that's where I met Nate at. Speaking of, we have to just say how much this guy Manny Lopez, who's a bass player and a keyboardist, he is such an inspiration to me because, not only is he in 5 bands and holds down a job, but he throws these backyard barbecues where he has a stage in the backyard, a vegan vegetarian grill because he is that, and a meat grill, and all the best people come out to support this. And you could see a list of like literally 15 bands playing a half an hour, 40-minute set. And that's where I met Nate and many other cool people. And it just happened yesterday, and this is again in Oakland, California, and just an amazing time. You must have seen a lot of great bands and met a lot of great people at this party too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like you said, those shows are so amazing. They're free. I try to donate to help the cause because I know Manny's spending a bunch of money to put these things on. But yeah, you get there, and first it takes several minutes to get into the backyard because there's always people out in the front. Yeah. And so you show up and you're chatting, and then eventually you're like, oh, I'm gonna go check out this band. I'll come talk to you later. And then you don't go very, very far at any point without seeing more friends that you know. And
then you get caught up in that conversation.
Yep.
Yeah, good times. It happens 4 or 5 times a year, and they had the first one yesterday. So it's kind of funny that we come together for this interview the day after that party. And, what a bunch of good times. So let's move on to some clubs that you've seen shows at. I know Ivy Room and Gilman are 2 of them. So we like to give love to Bay Area clubs that, in case anybody of you out there visit from another country or state, check out these clubs because the venues need the support. We need to still build the community and just have people come together to keep these clubs alive and going, to keep their electric on. So Gilman, Ivy Room, we want to say hi to Bill Pesh, the promoter, puts on the rock and roll, flea market and the punk flea market, and it's really cool, man. So, what are some, let's just say, some bands that you've seen, national headliners or local bands that you have seen in concert at these clubs and other clubs that you've been at? You know?
Oh wow, so many bands. As far as some of the national touring headliners, Exploited, Total Chaos, MDC, The Adolescents. I tend to go to smaller shows, you know, like at Gilman or the Ivy Room
Yeah.
or Oakland Secret or Revolution Cafe. There's a lot of cool little DIY spots that I like to go to, you know, including Manny's Backyard.
Yeah.
But some of the local bands, I mean, there are an incredible number of local bands. Like there's this band called Mannequin Planet. If you haven't heard of them, check them out. Violent Coercion is a favorite of mine now. They're on a little bit of a break recording a record, but I love those guys. Circle of Ruin. We got Blunt Force Karma. We have Hellbound Pound, Hill Bomb. I mean, too many to even try to name.
The reason why we bring up all these names is because we want you all to do the research on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the social medias out there to discover your next new band that Nate's mentioning, that I'm bringing up, you know, because we need more attention on our local scene and every local scene happening around in the country and the world. And so check out these bands. Do yourself a favor and check out these bands on, you know, YouTube and all the other places. So I just want to, while we're on the subject of like SoCal, you know, Suicidal Tendencies is a big one for me. XL. I love this crossover thing. Skate punk. You know, DRI. I know they're not from there, but you know, the crossover scene. How did that affect you? Because funny thing is, you're more of a punk rock guy and I'm more of a metal guy. Mm-hmm. But what brought me more to punk was bands like DRI, Suicidal, XL. You know, even though I love my punk rock pure, like to me, the Bad Brains are king, and you know, Dead Kennedys, Flippers, another one. You know, so many great ones. Yeah, we're looking at the list. There's Verbal Abuse. I mean, I love New York hardcore, the Cro-Mags, Agnostic Front, Ludacris, Crumbsuckers. Did that scene get you at all, the New York hardcore scene? Because to me, that's another thing that brought my metal and my punk together, was like Agnostic Front. And I did a great interview with Vinny Stigma, Roger Merritt, and then it just, to me, it just still had the attitude of, and the message of punk with the political stuff, but then you just still had that the metal guitar solos. I don't know how else to explain it, but what was your feeling being a pure punk rocker of crossover and New York hardcore, or hardcore in general?
I would say New York hardcore, love it. Like so many good bands, like a lot of the ones you just
Biohazard,
named.
Hatebreed later on, you know.
So many great bands.
Yeah.
Initially, when the crossover scene started happening, I was a little reluctant at first.
Yeah.
You know, I was kind of a hardcore purist. You know, if you don't sound like Minor Threat, I don't care. You know, and I missed out on a lot of music growing up because I was really just dedicated to the hardcore scene.
Yeah.
But then I would hear bands like Corrosion of Conformity, and I can't even think of some of the names, but like, you know, some of the early crossover. DRI is a good example that you mentioned, and I would listen to that, and I'm like, nah, this is good. Like I like this stuff. And so I really did, you know, eventually get into some of the crossover. You know, I would still say that my preference is always going to be hardcore. Like just that old school, in particular, hardcore, and even a lot of the newer hardcore. I just love it. That's what really gets me going the most.
Right on.
I think no matter how old I get, you know, if I live to be 90 years old, and I'll be in a retirement home going, Red, I'm seeing red.
Here's something I got to bring up, because this is a genre. I'm open-minded to everything from funk and disco from the 70s to metal, black metal, thrash metal, fucking power metal, prog metal, and to ska, reggae. I love everything, but I just can't wrap my head around and bands like Green Day, Blink-182, Rancid, Sum 41, Offspring. It's just not my thing. I think it's the vocal tone. It's not my kind of vocalist, or just the it's just so basic. I don't know. Like, where does that sit with you? Pop punk. I mean,
Not well.
Okay. All right. Well, we feel the same way about that. It's just I never got it, man. I don't know, and I know everybody loves Green Day. It seems like the last 5 bands that I interviewed are like, and they're all that age range. It's like Green Day is like, the number one thing on the radar. But and no disrespect to them. There's, I really hate Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses and Courtney Love from Hole, but I respect Green Day and what they do, and they're local guys who, started out at Gilman. They put money back into the community. I mean, so, much love to Billy Joe and all those guys, Trey, but it's not my thing. But I know that a lot of people love them, especially in the Bay Area and outside. But yeah, it just never appealed to me, man. I don't know. It just never did.
No, I'm the same. I saw them really early, or at least decently early, where a buddy of mine called me up and said, this is going to date me a little bit. He said, we're going to go see this band called Rancid. You should come at Berkeley Square. And I said, who the hell is Rancid? It was early enough that I'd not heard of them yet.
Yeah.
And so we went to the show. He told me, it's some of the guys from Operation Ivy. And immediately I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
So Operation Ivy played, and then Green Day was the opening band. And just, no.
It wasn't your thing.
Immediately, I was like, nope. And then the funny thing was, I was kind of complaining about it earlier, after the show.
Yeah.
And I said to my friend, well, we'll never hear from that band again. I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
And how did Rancid, did that appeal to you or not?
It did. I thought it was great. And if you're not familiar with Berkeley Square, it's an old club. It was a pretty small place. And
we miss it. The sign is still up there.
It is. Yeah.
It's a daycare center now, but they still have the sign up there. And man, I mean, it was the days of, I moved here from Florida in '91, so I caught the tail end of it, of like the Omni, which I know you're familiar with, Berkeley Square,
sure.
Places like that. I'm sure you could name more to add to that, but yeah. Wow. So anything I may have missed in covering the music side of things before we jump into film, movies, and cinema? Any other concerts that stand out to you over the years, or bands, or you think we've covered that?
I think we've covered it pretty well, but one band I will give a shout out to is, well, actually a couple. This band here, Capital Punishment. When I did live in Modesto in the Valley, this was one of the bands that kept me going. They were great. They were from Fresno, but they would come play the Valley. This band here, Special Forces, Berkeley Legends. Love these guys so much. We got Verbal Abuse. We got Oppressed Logic. I don't know if you can see the patches on my sleeve.
Yeah.
Kicker.
Look them up. Look all these bands up if you don't know.
You got to look up Kicker. And then here we have La Plebe. And as much as I love all of the hardcore bands and all of these different bands, La Plebe was one of my favorite bands of all time to see live. It was fast, it was punk, it was a little bit of ska, but it was just one of the most joyful shows you could ever attend. And every single show that I would go to, there was just like this feeling of, just extra feeling of joy. I mean, all the shows that I go to, I have a lot of fun, I have a blast, it's great to see everybody, but there was just something a little special about a La Plebe show. This year is going to be the 10th anniversary of their final show ever, and every October, I do actually kind of mourn them like you would a friend. Like La Plebe. Did you ever get to see them?
No, that's one I'm going to have to look up to see, but so are they outside of the box of, say, punk and hardcore, or is it in that, or do they do a little bit something different?
It's a kind of a combination of punk and ska, ska punk.
Okay.
Skunk, as we used to call it.
Yeah, skunk. Never heard of that. Cool.
But yeah, they're amazing.
So, is there anything that people may be surprised that you listen to that's your guilty pleasure that's not punk rock or hardcore?
Occasionally, yeah. I do have a handful of guilty pleasure bands that I listen to, and I'm trying to think of one right now.
Maybe he doesn't want to admit it on camera.
No,
pause.
no, I genuinely do have a couple, and I'm just drawing a blank on one. It's really one of those things.
Some people are real purists out there. They just are metal. They're just punk, or they're just pop. Or just hip hop and rap. So there are people who are purists, and I respect that too because some people, they like what they like. My friend in Florida is stuck in the 80s hair metal glam band thing. I try to turn him on to Primus and Faith No More or just something else, and he just, if it isn't in that damn fucking box of which to me, man, I heard that stuff and I moved.
Yeah.
But so we can go back to that if you want.
Occasionally, I do have some records like The Godfathers, if anybody remembers them.
What is that like? What The Godfathers?
It's what you would just call like alternative music from the 80s.
Was it alternative before alternative became mainstream? Like,
yes.
Remember Soundgarden and SST? Or there was Jane's Addiction on Triple X when they were really the alternative before. Mm-hmm. And those are some of my favorite bands too. Like, to me, Jane's Addiction and Fishbone, as far as like LA groups, and stuff like that. Yeah. So well, let's move on to the movie film cinema segment of the show. Is that I want to mention that Nate here is he is part of and I don't know, leads the troupe of BL Rocky Horror. This is a Bay Area. They do these live. What is it called? I'll let you take it away. Interpretations of the movie. When the movie's playing, you get the cast up there that plays the characters. If you're not familiar, and you've somehow been living under a rock for the last 60 years or 40 years or whatever it's been now, it's like, when did that movie come out?
It just celebrated its 50th anniversary. Actually.
Okay. Yeah. And
I did a whole tour in honor of the 50th.
Wow, where did that tour take you to?
Oh man, we went all over. We went to New York. We went to Boston. We went to Baltimore.
Wow, and you're all from the Bay Area, and you
no.
Okay, it was everybody in their town or their city.
Yeah.
Right?
So for the tour, first, I've been part of a local Rocky Horror cast for more years than I'm going to admit.
Yeah.
But we've been around for 30 years, so I just lied to you and admitted
that's a dedication. I mean, your love for Rocky Horror. My gosh, I went all the way to Burbank to the Monster Palooza Festival to meet the one and only Tim Curry from Rocky Horror. I also went all the way to San Jose, and I also went to the Castro Theater to meet Barry Bostwick. And they'd had two Brads there that night because they had the theatrical play version. I don't know if I'm saying it right, or the Broadway. It was Luke Perry.
Oh, yeah.
Was so Luke and Barry were there at the Castro Theater that night, and so I've met Barry a couple times. And what a movie! I mean, if you haven't seen it, Meatloaf is in it. Rest in peace, Meatloaf. I mean, Susan Sarandon. As we mentioned before, Tim Curry. I mean, how did that movie affect you so much that you wanted to be part of its history and legacy and dive in like that, man?
Yeah. Well, the first time I ever heard about Rocky Horror was when I was still living in Modesto, and somebody told me about it in high school, but they explained it in a horrible way, and I had zero interest.
Uh-oh.
I
almost lost him.
Almost. You did, yeah. So I knew it existed, and I just had no interest based on what I'd heard about it. And then back when I was younger, pretty much every single weekend I was going to punk and hardcore shows, and there was a Saturday coming up, and there just wasn't a show that I wanted to go to. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, there's that Rocky Horror thing. Maybe I'll go check that out. So I got a couple of friends together. We drove out to go see it at the UC Theater. And it blew my mind. There was a band that opened up for the show, and people were throwing things. People were yelling things. People were dancing. It was incredibly interactive. It's not a movie that you just sit and watch. You participate in it. There's a live cast that acts out the entire film in front of the screen. So it's like a play and a movie at the same time. And then the audience
Right.
shouts what we call callbacks,
Yeah.
which, if you've seen the movie a bunch of times, you know what's going to happen. So you set up a joke, basically, where you say something, and then the character on the screen replies, and it turns into a joke. And it's a great experience to have a venue full of, 1,200 people at UC Theater.
Yeah.
And you say one of your callbacks, and you get all 1,200 people just laughing uproariously at it. And, it's just, the second I saw it, I was hooked. I went back the next weekend, and then the weekend after that, and probably the weekend after that. And I kept going as an audience member, and eventually I joined the cast, and I was playing a character called Riff Raff.
Yeah.
So I played that character for a long time. And then I think within probably the first year of me being part of the cast, the guy who ran it at the time one day came up to me and said, "Nate, you're my co-director on the cast now." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And then I got home and thought, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And I think I've probably been figuring that out.
More responsibility.
It does
something.
mean a lot more responsibility.
And less money or no money.
No money.
Usually, because when you're in a band or you do these things, it's more for the passion and love, for sure, all the way. Wow, so you know more than me, but I've heard stories about how no matter where Rocky Horror is showing, people in the audience, cast in different states and probably countries at this point that I wouldn't know, but that everybody just is so hardcore about this. I can't think of another movie in history that's had this kind of like following and legacy. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, what are some great stories on some shows that say it took you to New York or Chicago?
Yeah,
or
all over.
Wow.
A couple of my favorite stories. So I've done various shows with Barry. I've known Barry for a few years. We've developed a friendship over some time. And so I was hosting a show with him, and he tried to, kind of make a little bit of a joke where he started by saying, like, and this guy over here, Nate, he's been doing Rocky Horror for more years than, anybody has ever done it. Or, I don't remember what he said, but he was building it up, and then he was like, and I just have one question. Why the hell are you doing this? And I got serious for a moment. I think he expected me to come back with a joke. I was like, I'm going to give you the real answer. And it was, over my time doing Rocky Horror, I've seen so many people just find their community or come out of their shell, or maybe the first time they come to the show, they're just a little uncertain, unsure of themselves, maybe they're a little bit unsure of their identity, and then they have a built-in community in a place where back then you could go week after week after week, and we did the show literally every Saturday night. And I was telling Barry that I've seen people learn new skills, develop friendships, develop relationships that last a lifetime.
Yeah.
And I've seen it really positively change lives. And people who the first day I meet them, they're kind of little unsure of themselves, and then you cut to a year later and they're all decked out in costume and they're on stage and they're full of confidence, and it's really an amazing experience to see that and have seen that for so many years. Another little story, in October I go on tour primarily with Patricia Quinn, who plays Magenta in the film, but also sometimes with Little Nell and Barry Bostwick, and we get the three of them together and we'll do these shows. Each of the shows has a meet and greet, a VIP meet and greet. And so I will be there helping facilitate that and, make sure everybody gets their items signed, and there, meet Pat, meet Barry, meet Nell. And just the people, they come in and, some of them are just like, hey, how you doing? What's up? I love your movie. But some of them are just in tears. Yeah. And some of them just, they don't even really know what to say. And so I'll usually try to cue them a little bit. I'll say, hey, this is Patricia. She was Magenta in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And, something to kind of prompt them into telling their little story. Yeah. And it's always like, you've changed my life. You've changed everything for me. I love you so much. And it's so incredible to see that. Just, person after person, there'll be, I think they usually cap it at about 100 people at the VIP meet and greets. Yeah. But that's 100 people who come in and just have an experience of a lifetime meeting their idols. Yeah.
It's so true. I mean, I make my routes to these horror, sci-fi, comic pop culture conventions all the way from Vegas and Arizona and Pasadena, Burbank, Sacramento, San Jose. And it is something. I mean, everybody is really super excited when they meet either one or many heroes of TV and film, and it's incredible. And it was sad to say when I went to go meet Tim Curry, he was in a wheelchair and you couldn't really talk to him, and there was a bunch of people to meet him, and he definitely wasn't in the shape to have conversations with anybody, but I'm sure he would have otherwise. And but yeah, so also just to add on to that is that in Ohio recently, a few months back, they had Barry Bostwick, Susan Sarandon, and the lady who plays Magenta, and one other person. It wasn't Riff Raff, but it was.
They had Peter Hinwood, who was the Rocky from the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you have any plans this year to continue with that, or what's going on with the Rocky thing?
I'm a little on the fence about that.
Okay.
Last year was the 50th anniversary.
Okay.
And going into it, we all felt like this is it. It's the 50th anniversary. It was huge. We even went to Canada for a while. We went all over. So I think at the start of it, we all felt, okay, this is a big, significant anniversary. The 51st just doesn't have that same feeling to it.
Yeah.
But actually right now, Patricia Quinn, Nell Campbell, and Barry Bostwick are doing a UK tour. And I know they're starting to plan one for this October. I'm slightly on the fence about being involved this year. And it's...
Because it is a lot of time, and it's like being in a band or... an actor being an extra on the set. It's like it's very time consuming, very little to no pay, and yeah, it's like it is a commitment. It is a commitment, and so
well, and as much as I love it, I have 2 jobs at any given time.
Yeah.
One full-time job and then one part-time job, and then
to live in the Bay Area, you have to do all this extra stuff.
Then the Rocky Horror Cast, and then I always have various other things that I get into.
Yeah.
Like I'll help put on shows. A few months back, I decided to create an Instagram account. We were talking about all the Bay Area bands and Bay Area shows. I created an Instagram account that literally just posts show flyers or videos from bands playing at shows.
Yeah.
And initially, I started doing it to kind of help me keep track of all the shows that are coming out.
I believe that.
It's so much.
Yeah.
So, I've got a lot of things that I'm doing. I'm pretty much busy all the time. A little too busy. I'm actually trying to cut back.
It took us a while to lock down Nate for this interview. I mean, I'm so glad you took the time to come over and do it. It means a lot. And what's that Instagram? I mean, do you want to promote that?
Oh, sure. It's Bay Area Havoc, and it is literally nothing but show flyers, bands playing live, and some other cool stuff. And sometimes I'll throw in something random, but Bay Area specific. It's my love letter to the Bay Area and the scenes here.
That's great, man. There's never enough of people around or outlets to promote Bay Area music, especially the local scene, for sure. Any links to where people could see, say, pictures and video of you and doing your Rocky Horror stuff? I mean, where are some links to that, or if any?
The cast has a Facebook account and an Instagram account. If you look up BL Rocky, just the letters B and L, and then ROCKY, BL Rocky, you'll find the Instagram. It's just at BL Rocky, or the Facebook page at BL Rocky. There's also a TikTok and a couple of other things. I don't even remember what all we have at this point.
Okay.
But if you find any of them, we've got a link tree that's got links to all of our photos, all of our different shows coming up.
Nice.
So
you may not recognize him because, again, he was dressed up as Riff Raff.
Yes.
So he's got the in costume, in character.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. Should we wrap it up? Is there anything else you want to add? I mean, we covered. Well, before we wrap it up, what are other movies besides Rocky Horror that influence you? Because the show is about movies and music, and off camera we were talking about my favorite actor of all time is Gary Oldman. gosh, there's something about those British actors, like, Tim Curry and Christian Bale and Malcolm McDowell, who I happened to meet in Vegas. I mean, what other movies have rocked your world over the years?
With my incredibly busy schedule, I don't really get to see a lot of movies, but one of my favorites of all time is Jaws.
The first one.
The first original Jaws. And I probably saw it a little too young.
Yeah.
I saw it as a kid.
So you're not a horror movie guy? You're no movies like from the past 10 years? So Jaws and Rocky Horror. That's hey.
If it wasn't made in the 70s, I'd know.
Exactly. Right.
No, recent movies... I really
it's cool,
just don't
man.
get
I mean,
out to
he's more of a
much.
music guy. Sometimes people are more music and more movies, and then there's the people that are more video games and sports. I've kind of dropped that and really dived into movies and music. But man, again, it was a pleasure having you, and everybody again, Nate Havoc, BL, Rocky Horror, a punk rock enthusiast, journalist, and historian at this point of pure punk rock, no pop punk, but yeah, man. Thanks again, brother. I appreciate you being
Great
here.
Great to be here.
Yeah. So that's another episode of Movies, Music, and Movie Music with David Barrett and Nate Havoc. And again, check out these bands we're mentioning. It could change your life musically, and you can discover an uncovered gem that has been out there for a while. So see you next time. Yeah,